Hi, your next challenge is entitled Missing Third Angle. You are given 2 out of 3 angles in a triangle in degrees. Write a function that classifies the missing angle as either acute, right, or obtuse based on its degrees. And I have some notes for you here. An acute angle is less than 90 degrees. A right angle is exactly 90 degrees. And an obtuse angle is greater than 90 degrees but less than 180. So make sure you check out the examples and understand how the output's obtained. You basically add the values of the parameters and you subtract, well, hopefully I'm not giving too much, I'll try not to give too much away of the solution, but yeah, basically you determine the third angle, and based on that degree value, you should return what kind of angle it is. So we'll leave it at that. Final note, the sum of the angles in a triangle is always 180 degrees, if you forgot that from geometry class. So let's get on with it. Now's your chance to pause, go figure it out, and come back and watch the solution. Okay, I'm going to start by setting up for myself static, read only, int, total, in triangle. I want a constant to describe this, so we'll do something like that. Okay, and then I think my next step, I'm going to make sure the input's in the manner I want, and let's achieve that with a little helper function. We'll call it public static int, and let's call it get angle magnitude int degrees. And from this, I'm just kind of covering a case where if the degrees were passed in as a negative value. I'm guessing they won't do that to you. This is where you get, though, after you've programmed a long time, your brain is paranoid, trusts no one, and you just don't accept that you're going to get the input that you want. So all I'm going to do here is return math abs degrees, and that ABS is short for absolute value. If you're not familiar with that term, if you take the absolute value of a number, it gives you essentially its magnitude. If it was -5, it'll be 5. If the input's 5, it's 5. So it just kind of removes that negative sign when it applies. So let's get our clean input here. We'll call it angle f1. Let's call it a1 equals get angle magnitude angle 1, and I'm going to do the same thing for angle 2. Okay, now I should have clean input. Certainly you might want to be more robust with this. You could do something that checks if it's greater than 360 degrees, and then for each multiple that it is, you sort of remove that out. So for example, imagine if someone gave me 370 degrees, I would just want the 10 degrees. I don't want these ridiculously large numbers. I want to kind of simplify it down. You see that more with circles. I don't know why someone would pass me a triangle angle like that, but again, when you do this a while, you just get paranoid, and angles come in that variety. So you could definitely be more robust as needed. So that said, I'll accept it as good for now. Next, let's see, get the missing angle. Let's make another helper function, and let's do this one, call it, we need something that will get the third angle given 2 angles. So let's make a helper to do that. Public static int get third angle, and passed angle 1 int angle 2. So given two angles of a triangle. This will return the remaining angle. So to do that, return, we'll use our constant that we set up here, minus angle 1 minus angle 2. And that should get it. Again, paranoia, we want to make sure that if angle 1 plus angle 2 is greater than or equal to that constant, that's a problem, right? This would be an invalid input, knowing what we know about triangles, right? If the two of the angles are already in excess of a total of the number of degrees in a triangle, we're not talking about a triangle anymore. So let's say this is, maybe you throw an exception here. We haven't talked about that, we will later. For now, for simplicity, let's just throw a -1, which is often used to denote a problem in a simplified way. Let's just say return -1. In reality, I'd probably print something here. But in the case of returning it in, we have to return something anyway. So I'd probably log something here as well. I won't do that. They won't hit us with that. But things you want to keep in mind when doing real programming. So then we have int, we can call it angle 3 now, would be get third angle A1 and A2. That should give us the third. That's really not a point having a space there. Get third angle. And then finally we want a helper function that converts an angle to its string type. Do you remember that from the directions? They wanted either acute, obtuse, or right. So we're going to go public static string is what they wanted for that. A lot of times you might use an enumeration in a program, but they want a string. Get angle type from degrees, or we could call it, yeah, sure, that's pretty good, but spelling matters. Getting from degrees, and we'll take an int angle. And so if angle is greater than 90, we know to return obtuse. If that was successful, then you're already out of the method. If angle is less than 90, return double quotes, don't forget, like I did, acute, else return right. If I've gotten past both of those conditions, then it's 90, and I'm just going to return right. And again, this is why I say I like to do my error checking up front. Now I don't have to do it here, assuming I don't change the order of things. The angle that's being passed in next will be one of these. It will be this A3 value, which should have come from clean input. So we should be good. We shouldn't have to keep validating in every place. That gets annoying. So then we could say return get angle type from degrees with this A3. I believe that's what they're looking for. And that should give us the string that we want for the overall method. And I think we're okay. Oh, you know what? For this math absolute value, I bet we have to bring something in. Let's try that. See what we get. Oh, unexpected symbol 2. Error command line out. Code line 31. Let's go down to line 31. Oh, sure, look at that. Left a space in the name there. So yeah, you can't expect the computer to know that you meant angle 2 there. It's minus angle 1 minus something that's not defined. And yeah, that is very bad. Let's fix that and try it again. Bingo. Looks good. So yeah, I think the takeaway here is to really break your little mini jobs out into separate functions. The tendency when you start is to put everything in one function, and you find yourself doing, okay, the first part of the problem, the second part, and these functions get bigger and bigger, and next thing you know, it's over 100 lines, and it doesn't even fit on your screen. You got to scroll to read it, and when you're trying to work with it or figure out somebody else's stuff, and you got to scroll hundreds of lines for a method, it's ridiculous. So don't do that. Don't be that guy. Um, and I find that beginners too, they don't want to break things out into classes. We're not using classes yet, but we'll get there. And well, not much. You see this class program, but um, there's people kind of shy away from breaking out and making lots of classes, really small focused classes, which I think is a mistake. So make sure you're keeping your stuff small. I mean, look how easy this is to understand. When you keep things really small, it can only be so complex, you know? And it gets worse as you add hundreds of lines of code and you're trying to do mental gymnastics and keep track of everything. And it's really not good for anybody. So I would recommend doing it like that. And I hope you found this helpful. As usual, leave questions, comments below. Thanks for watching.